In the hospital corridor, I saw Mary supporting her childhood friend Tom as they slowly approached. At that moment, a twinge of bitterness stirred in my heart, which had been calm for 5 years. I had planned to pretend not to see her and let her pass by, but Mary was sharp-eyed and spotted me immediately. She released Tom's arm and rushed straight to me, questioning me with emotion. "George, I've been looking for you for the past 5 years. Where have you been? Why did you leave without a word?" Back then, I lowered my head and stared at her. After 5 years, Mary seemed to have matured a bit, but her personality remained simple and straightforward. The corners of my mouth curled up slightly, revealing a cold smile. "Miss Mary, I think we have nothing to do with each other anymore. It seems unnecessary for me to report to you where I go. Didn't I leave you a letter 5 years ago informing you that we had broken up?" Mary's eyes were red, and she pouted in grievance, saying, "I won't agree to this. Why should you unilaterally decide to break up?" I was amused by her appearance. "Do I really need your consent to break up? Besides, your little bamboo horse is staring at you eagerly. You should hurry and take care of him." Mary turned to look at Tom, who was sitting on the ground looking pitiful, and hurried over to help him up. I couldn't help but smirk inwardly. 5 years had passed, and her choice remained unchanged. As long as Tom was in need, she would always rush to him without hesitation. I lifted my leg to leave, but Mary hurriedly called out to me while Tom pouted beside her. "Mary, can you take me back to the ward first? My back hurts so much. I really want to lie down." Mary urgently said to me, "George, please can you wait for me a moment? I'll be right back after I finish with Tom. It won't take long, just wait for me a bit." I stood in place, expressionless, watching her anxiously support Tom as they walked toward the hospital room. Once their figures disappeared around the corner, I immediately turned and walked away quickly, completely ignoring Mary's heart-wrenching cries behind me. After leaving the hospital, I drove back home, letting out a long sigh, but my mood remained unsettled for a long time. It had been 5 years, and I never expected to see her again, yet my heart still stirred with emotions. Perhaps it was because I had once loved so intensely and sincerely that this memory became so deeply etched in my mind. I shook my head vigorously, trying to cast aside these chaotic thoughts, and then began to prepare dinner. After dinner, I lay in bed reading a book when the phone rang. It was my cousin Lily. "George, will you accompany me to the hospital for my prenatal checkup tomorrow?" "Where's your husband? Why isn't he accompanying you?" I asked somewhat impatiently. "Don't mention it. His job is special. He was supposed to accompany me, but suddenly there was a major case, and he was urgently called away by the bureau. I don't know when he will be back. Lily's husband, Ben, is a detective, and his work hours are irregular, which can't be helped." I had no choice but to reluctantly agree. "All right, they'll pick you up tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning." After sending Lily away, I couldn't help but decide that tomorrow would be busy again. This girl, Lily, really knows how to find someone to help. After graduating from college, I partnered with friends to start a game company. After 5 years of hard work, the company is now on the right track and doesn't require my constant attention, so I have a lot of free time on my hands. The next day, I went to Lily's house to pick her up and asked, "Which hospital are you going to for your prenatal checkup?" "The city center hospital is quite close to us." "Am I not very wise?" "I chose a nearby hospital so it won't take up too much of your time," she said. "You see, George, how thoughtful I am," Lily said proudly. "Stop calling me George, just call me bro," I responded to Lily, but inside, I felt a bit helpless. I really wish she could go to a hospital further away for her prenatal checkup. After all, Mary's childhood friend Tom was hospitalized at the city center hospital, and I really didn't want to run into them again. "I want to call you brother. We were born on the same day, and I don't even know who's older or younger." "Don't think you can take advantage of me," Lily muttered unhappily. I stopped paying attention to Lily. Every time it came to the issue of who was older or younger, she would always argue with me endlessly. If I engaged with her, she could go on, so I simply focused on driving. Arriving at the hospital, I helped the pregnant Lily towards the obstetrics and gynecology department. Just as I feared, I ran into Mary, who was supporting Tom. When Mary saw me helping the pregnant Lily, Her face instantly turned pale. Her lips trembled as if she wanted to say something but found it hard to speak. Lily noticed the unusual behavior and turned her head to ask me, "George, who is this girl? Do you know her?" I replied expressionlessly, "I knew that before, but we weren't very close then." I supported Lily and brushed past Mary. After sending Lily to the obstetrics and gynecology ward, I sat on the bench outside waiting. Mary walked up to me, her face pale and her eyes filled with grievance. "Are you married?" "What does it matter to you whether I am married or not? The woman just now called you husband, and she is pregnant. If she's not your wife, then who could she be?" I knew Mary misunderstood. She must have heard George's husband. However, I wanted to explain, and it was just right to use this to get rid of her entanglement. I nodded. "Yes, I got married. Do you have anything else to say?" Mary's tears instantly welled up in her eyes. She stared at me intently, and when she saw my face remained indifferent, she finally couldn't hold back and ran away crying. I let out a sigh of relief, and after Lily finished her checkup, I hurriedly took her out of the hospital. I never expected to run into someone I hadn't seen in 5 years, twice right after returning to New York. It's really strange. On the way home, Lily chattered away in the car, but I was too distracted to respond. My mind was filled with Mary's tears and grievances. If she cared so much about Tom, why did she seem so upset? Wasn't my departure exactly what allowed her and Tom, the childhood sweethearts, to be together openly? After dropping Lily off at home, I drove back to my own house, lay on the bed, and couldn't help but reminisce about the past with Mary. We met on the day of our freshman orientation. I saw a petite girl on the playground struggling to carry a bag that was bigger than she was. Eager to help, I immediately ran over to take the heavy load off her shoulders. She looked up at me to thank me, and when she saw my face, the little girl stretched out her hand with a lovesick expression. "Hey, handsome, I'm Mary," she said. As she said this, she puffed out her chest, a pose that was quite mismatched with her petite figure, making me unable to hold back a laugh. I put down my bag and politely shook her hand. "Hello, my name is George." Then I shouldered my bag again and walked Mary to the girls' dormitory, gently declining her invitation to dinner, waving goodbye to her. Coincidentally, at the new student class meeting the next day, we met again, and to my surprise, we were classmates in the same major. Mary was extremely excited to see me and hurried over to sit next to me, completely ignoring the astonished looks from our classmates. I had never seen such a proactive girl. Her enthusiasm made me feel a bit embarrassed. Since then, Mary has been like my shadow. Wherever I appear, she is always within 3 meters of me. What truly made me decide to be with her was when I sprained my ankle during the campus basketball tournament in my freshman year. Seeing me grimacing in pain, Mary became so anxious that she burst into tears. Without saying a word, she picked me up and ran towards the infirmary. Despite her petite frame, carrying my 1.85-meter-tall self was particularly strenuous for her, but she never gave up and insisted on carrying me all the way to the infirmary. When we arrived, I was still relatively fine, but she collapsed on the ground, fainting from exhaustion. The teachers in the infirmary were stunned, and I quickly asked them to check on her first. From that day on, we were together, and I thought I would never meet another girl who would be so selfless for me. After we got together, we got along very well. Mary took great care of me. She is outgoing, without the little thoughts and tempers that other girls have, and she speaks her mind. I really like her generous yet humorous personality. During our 3 years in college, we left our footprints in every corner of the campus, and we became the enviable sweet couple on campus. At the beginning of our senior year, Tom burst into our lives. The first time I met Tom was the day Mary and I went to the amusement park after returning from winter break. She brought Tom in front of me, and I looked at this handsome boy, not understanding why there was a hint of ignition in his gaze directed at me. Mary generously took my hand and introduced me to Tom. "Brother, this is my boyfriend. What do you think? Is he tall? Is he handsome? Is his figure great?" Saying that, she patted my chest like a tough girl. I shot her a glare, but she just laughed. Beside me, I reached out my hand to Tom and introduced myself. "Hello, my name is George, and I am Mary's boyfriend." Tom held my hand cautiously and said in a soft voice, "My name is Tom. I am Mary's neighbor. We grew up together. She is like a sister to me." Mary patted Tom's shoulder casually and said, "What do you mean, like a sister?" "I'm a sister. George, you need to be nice to my brother. He has depression and is quite pitiful. He came to New York for college, so we should take good care of him." I nodded, looking at Tom, who seemed a bit uncomfortable, and I really felt sorry for him. Then we entered the amusement park, and Tom followed Mary closely behind. When asked what he wanted to play, he always obediently replied he'd play whatever my sister plays. He was fine with anything. We played on the big pendulum and the pirate ship, and finally arrived at the haunted house. When we first went in, Mary and I were holding hands, but every time an NPC came out to scare us, Tom would leap onto Mary, and she had to let go of my hand to comfort him. To be honest, I felt a bit uncomfortable. A big boy is throwing himself at a girl asking for protection, and that girl is my girlfriend, which makes me feel quite uneasy. Until I walked out of the haunted house, I kept a straight face. Mary caught up with me and asked what was wrong. I didn't say anything. After all, Tom was a patient, and I didn't want to lose my temper in front of him. We first sent Tom back to school, and then Mary and I returned to our school. Mary pulled me to the stands of the stadium, saying she hadn't seen me all summer and couldn't let me go back to the dorm so early. Sitting in the stands, Mary asked me what was wrong and why I had a cold expression. I looked at her and said coldly, "Don't you think you and Tom are too close? In the haunted house, he almost jumped into your arms. Luckily, you pushed him away. Otherwise, I would have definitely lost my temper right then and there." Mary smiled and said, "I didn't expect you to be so jealous. He is my brother, and he's sick. What can I do? Don't think too much about it. I don't have those kinds of feelings for him. That younger brother is no good either. How can a younger brother pounce into his sister's arms like that? Doesn't he understand the difference between boys and girls?" My tone was not very good. Mary was also furious. Didn't I push him away? Besides, he doesn't have any friends in New York, so he can only come to me. When we set off, my mom specifically reminded me to take good care of him. I haven't crossed any boundaries with him, so why are you making such a big deal out of it? I felt a bit helpless. Did I overreact? I could take care of him, but what's with this pulling and tugging? I won't interfere. My girlfriend can't be hugging and cuddling with others. I hugged him, and when he wanted to hold me, I pushed him away. That's because of him. If I weren't here, maybe you would have embraced each other. George, how can you look at me like that? I may be a bit carefree, but I still understand that there are differences between men and women. I didn't want to argue with her anymore, so I turned and left. No matter how she called me from behind, I didn't look back. Back in the dorm, I was filled with anger. When Mary called, I didn't answer. When she texted, I didn't reply. I didn't want to talk to her. The next morning, as soon as I came downstairs, I saw Mary waiting for me at the dormitory with breakfast in hand. Her eyes were red. When she saw me come out, she grabbed my arm and said anxiously, "George, why didn't you answer the phone or reply to my messages?" I was so worried. Seeing her pitiful appearance on the verge of tears, my anger dissipated. I patted her head and comforted her, saying, "It's okay, I'm fine now. I was just too angry yesterday." She hugged me and assured me that she would keep her distance from Tom in the future and would not let me misunderstand again. I patted her head and said, I believe you. That's good." Just like that, Mary and I reconciled as if nothing had happened. Perhaps our first argument really scared Mary. Tom called several times wanting to see her, but she never agreed. On my birthday, Mary personally made a cake for me. Just as we were about to cut the cake, Mary's phone rang, and I clearly heard a boy's anxious voice. "Is this Mary's sister? You need to come to the hospital quickly. Thomas committed suicide." Mary was startled and hurriedly asked which hospital. The boy gave her the address, and Mary rushed outside. I followed her out and comforted her, saying, "He's already at the hospital. He'll be fine. I'll go with you." Mary leaned against me regretfully, saying, "This afternoon he said he needed to talk to me, but I ignored him. I didn't expect something like this to happen. How am I going to explain this to his parents?" I comforted Mary. "It will be fine. There's no use in being anxious right now. You'll know once we get there." Before long, The taxi arrived, and after Mary and I got in, we urged the driver to hurry up. The driver was very efficient. What was originally a 20-minute journey took less than 15 minutes. We ran to the inpatient department and heard Tom shouting loudly in the ward from a distance, "Get out! I don't want you! I want my sister!" Mary rushed in. "Tom, are you okay?" Tom saw Mary come in and immediately quieted down, raising his bandaged left wrist with a pitiful expression and said, "Sister, it hurts." Mary cried with heartache and hugged Tom tightly. "Why are you so foolish? No matter what, you can't hurt yourself. Tell me what happened." Tom said, tearfully in Mary's arms, "I called you recently, but you ignored me. I called you yesterday, and you didn't answer. I feel like you hate me and don't want me anymore. I feel like life has no meaning and I don't want to live anymore." Mary comforted Tom. "How could that be? How could your sister dislike you? Don't worry, your sister won't ignore your calls in the future. Please don't do anything foolish again." Watching my girlfriend hug another boy, my heart was filled with mixed emotions, but there was nothing I could do. After all, he was a patient. No matter how petty I might be, I couldn't hold it against someone who was having an episode. Mary's eyes were all on Tom. After comforting him for a long time, Tom finally fell asleep. Mary pulled me out of the ward and looked at me awkwardly. "George, I'm sorry I can't celebrate your birthday with you today. I want to stay here with Tom. I'm afraid if he wakes up and doesn't see me, he'll start crying again." I nodded to show my understanding and patted her head. "You stay here with him. I'll go back by myself. Make sure to rest and don't worry yourself out." Mary hugged me comfortingly and said, "You're the best, my husband." At this moment, Tom inside started causing a commotion again. Mary hurriedly let go of me and went into the ward. I shook my head helplessly and left the hospital. For the next 2 days, Mary didn't return to school. She called and said that every time she was about to leave, Tom would make a fuss. It wasn't until the 3rd day that Mary returned to school. She found me guilty and took my hand to apologize. I graciously said it was fine. After all, he's your brother and you can't let him commit suicide. Mary looked at me emotionally and said, "My husband is the most understanding." My relationship with Mary did not break due to the setback. We were still as close as before, spending time together whenever we could. On the weekend, Mary and I planned to go to the movies. Just before we entered the cinema, Mary's phone rang and Tom's annoying voice came through. "Sister, I miss you. You haven't come to see me in several days. Do you not want me anymore? How could that be? Where are you? I'll go see you right away." After saying this, Mary suddenly remembered me beside her and quickly looked at me with an apologetic expression. "Go ahead, it's more important over there." I held the milk tea and popcorn, feeling increasingly irritated. Mary looked at me apologetically. "Good husband, I'll accompany you to watch this movie next time." After saying that, she kissed me on the cheek and left without looking back. I watched the movie alone, but my mind was wandering. This time, Mary disappeared for 2 days again, and when she returned, she looked completely exhausted. I was initially ready to explode with anger, but seeing her pitiful expression, I suppressed my frustration. That night, to make it up to me, Mary took the initiative to take me to a hotel outside the school. After dinner, she was gentle and proactive, and just as we were getting close, Mary's phone rang again. She pushed me away, got off the bed to answer the call, and then hurriedly started getting dressed, explaining as she put on her clothes, "Tom is acting up again. I've only been gone for a day, and he won't eat and keeps insisting on seeing me." I laughed in anger. If someone didn't know better, they might think we were having an affair. "Your husband is calling you to come home." Mary looked at me in surprise. "George, what are you talking about? Isn't that so? If this kind of thing is only halfway done, a single phone call from him can make you leave. Clearly, he is much more important than I am." All right, don't be angry anymore. I'll make it up to you properly next time, okay? You've said, next time, too many times since your dear brother arrived. How many times have you promised to make it up to me? George, stop being sarcastic. Weren't you very magnanimous before? He's over here alone. If I don't take care of him, I finally couldn't hold back. If there's an illness, treat it. Why go so far to attend university knowing that their child is ill? Why send them so far to burden others? What are the parents thinking? Mary's voice also rose. His parents have always been good to me since I was young. They entrusted me to take care of him. How could I refuse? Why can't you understand me? Mary and I had our second argument after getting together, and in the end, Mary cried and slammed the door as she left. I lay in bed feeling exhausted, both physically and mentally. For the first time, I had the thought of separating from Mary. The book was, W.R. A girl who grew up with you can indeed be quite difficult to deal with. After that, the way Mary and I interacted quietly changed. I shifted my focus to connecting with well-known companies and seeking internship opportunities. We had originally agreed to prepare for graduate school together, but now I have no interest in that. I just want to extricate myself from this entangled relationship involving the three of us. Soon, I successfully secured an internship opportunity at a well-known internet company, which was far from the school, so I needed to rent a place outside. Meanwhile, Mary was still preparing for her graduate school entrance exams, and every time she invited me to the library, I declined under the pretext of being busy. Occasionally, when we went out to eat together, Tom's phone always called at the most inopportune times. I even suspected that he had installed a tracker on us. Whenever we had a date, he was sure to call and interrupt. Once, Mary asked me to discuss the matter of graduate school entrance exams. I felt there was no need to hide my intention not to take the exams any longer, so I agreed. But just as we sat down in the milk tea shop, Tom's call came in. After Mary answered, her brows gradually furrowed. "But I have plans with George today. Can I come over a bit later? I don't know what they said over there." Mary said helplessly, "All right then, I'll go over now. You just wait for me." After saying that, she looked at me with guilt. "George, Thomas is sick again. We'll have to." She didn't continue speaking, knowing full well that there had, and couldn't answer, but she kept calling non-stop. Reluctantly, I had to pick up. Mary's anxious voice came through. "George, why didn't you tell me you moved out of the dorm? Where are you? They'll come find you. I think it's time to clarify things." So I told her the address of the rental house. After work, I saw Mary standing at the door with a big bag and small packages waiting for me. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I want to move in and live with you. It's too far from the school. It's inconvenient for you to run back and forth every day." "I don't care. Wherever you go, I'll follow." I helplessly opened the door to let Mary in. After she tidied up her things, she stood in front of me with her head down. "George, I know I was wrong. I thought a lot during this winter break. I was really foolish to hurt you so many times for Tom. Can you forgive me this time? When I go back, I talked with Tom and his parents, and we agreed that we won't take care of him anymore. I can't let him make me lose you." Looking at Mary, who was crying with her head down, my heart softened instantly. How could I bear to part with these 4 years of feelings? But I still had some concerns. "Have you really made it clear? Are you really not going to care about Tom anymore?" Mary nodded firmly, and I hugged her tightly. In this small rental apartment, Mary and I began our sweet and warm cohabitation life. During this time, Tom called a few times, and Mary would coldly answer in front of me. "I've told you before, Tom, don't call me anymore because my husband almost broke up with me because of you. Don't contact me for anything in the future. I'm not a psychologist, and my mom only has one child. I don't have a brother. That's it. Remember, don't call again." After hanging up the phone, Mary immediately changed her expression and looked at me with a flattering smile. "Honey, am I being good? Am I your good wife?" Looking at her like this, I patted her head as a reward. Life went on quietly and sweetly like this. Mary successfully got into graduate school, and I performed excellently in my internship. After Mary finished her exams, she had more free time, so she started buying groceries and cooking, waiting for me at home every day like a little wife. Sometimes I hold Mary and sigh, thinking that if we could still be like this after marriage, I would be completely satisfied. Mary tightly hugged me and vowed, "We definitely will, my husband." Since being rejected by Mary, Tom started frantically adding me as a friend. At first, I ignored him, but later I was so annoyed by him that I accepted his request. He told me that he and Mary grew up together and were once very much in love. He also said that his mother and Mary's mother are best friends and they have a marriage pact. I scoffed at his words, seeing that pretending to be weak was useless, so he started to sow discord. Every day, I sent him sweet photos of Mary and me in various ways. Isn't he supposed to be depressed? I wanted to see how much he could take. Tom was quite provoked by me and started cursing at me with all sorts of foul language, but I didn't care at all. The more anxious he became, the more I found it amusing until a photograph appeared, completely shattering the peaceful life I had with Mary. It was when we had just graduated, and I had already decided to start a business with my college friends, establishing a game company. Meanwhile, Mary was going to continue her graduate studies at our university. Before the summer vacation, Mary told me that she would discuss our marriage with her family, and when school started again, she would arrange for both parents to meet. After she left, I devoted myself wholeheartedly to the busy life of entrepreneurship. The early stages of starting a business were fraught with difficulties. Everything is hard at the beginning. Just when I was overwhelmed with work, one day Tom sent me a photo of him and Mary laughing and chatting as they walked into a hotel. Seeing this photo, I was instantly furious. I immediately called Mary, and a middle-aged woman answered the phone, presumably Mary's mother. I told her I was looking for Mary, and the woman's sharp voice came through, "You must be that George. Don't call Mary again. She got engaged to Tom today. If you have any shame, stop bothering her." I hung up the phone coldly. "Mary, you really are something. You lied to me about wanting to get married while eagerly getting engaged to Tom." Lying in bed, I felt a sense of despair as if the dust had settled. So be it, at least I wouldn't have to worry about this troublesome pair anymore. I packed my things, moved out of the rental, and left a breakup letter for Mary on the table. I moved to the company, and Mary doesn't know the company address because I only started after she went home for the summer vacation and hadn't had the chance to tell her yet. I changed my phone number and only informed a few close friends, completely severing all ties with Mary. I poured all my energy into my hectic work, trying to numb myself with it. Gradually, I forgot about Mary and the tangled emotions of that relationship. After the summer vacation ended, several friends who had my contact information told me that Mary was going crazy looking for me everywhere. They felt sorry for her and asked if I wanted to meet her. I shook my head coldly. A liar. No, I don't want to meet again. At the same time, I sternly ordered them not to give my contact information to Mary. To expand the business, my work focus gradually shifted south, where the market is larger. So, I left New York and spent 5 years in the South. Recalling this, I can't help but laugh at Mary's pretentiousness. While she was in the hospital, I guess she and Tom must have been married for a long time. If that's the case, why is she still bothering me? Time flows like water, and a month passes in the blink of an eye. I continue to live a leisurely, semi-retired life. One noon, a rapid knocking on the door woke me from my nap. I got up impatiently and said, "Who is it? Open the door quickly. George, the princess has." As I arrived, I hurried up and got ready to welcome her. I could tell right away it was that little troublemaker, Lily. I impatiently opened the door, and she burst in like a little bandit. Just as I was about to close the door, she stopped me with a hand and said, "Quick, look who I brought." I turned around and saw Mary looking at me with eager eyes. Lily pulled Mary into the room. "What are you standing there for? Hurry up and come in, sister-in-law." I shot Mary a glare and said coldly, "What are you doing here? You're not welcome." Lily punched me and said, "Speak nicely. Mary is with me. If you dare to give me a hard time, I'll have my husband lock you up for 2 days." Mary looked straight at me and said, "George, I just want one answer. Why did you leave me so decisively, not even giving me a chance to explain?" I scoffed disdainfully, "Your mom said you're engaged to Tom and told me to stop bothering you. How could I have the audacity to keep pestering you?" Mary was stunned. "Wait, when did you meet my mom? When did I get engaged to Tom?" As soon as she finished speaking, the phone rang. She answered, "Mom, you're in New York?" Did you come with Tom's mom? Okay, you pick a place. I'll be there right away. After speaking, Mary pulled me and rushed outside. I hardly broke free. What are you doing? Just say it. Don't drag me around. Mary looked at me stubbornly. I want to understand the truth just in time for my mom to arrive. Let's confront each other face to face. I want to see why you left me so decisively. Lily also chimed in, yes, we need to make it clear. Who just leaves someone without a word? What a scumbag. I glared at her, looking at Mary without any fear. Go if you want. After speaking, I went downstairs to get the car and rushed towards the hotel that Mary mentioned, with Mary and Lily in tow. Upon arriving at the hotel suite, I opened the door to see Tom attentively pouring wine for 4 middle-aged men. When he saw me, Tom's expression turned sour, but he quickly smiled at Mary behind me and walked over to try to take her hand. Mary shook him off. How many times have I told you not to pull at me? What kind of relationship do we have? A middle-aged woman with a harsh appearance immediately darkened her face and accused Mary. What makes our Tom unworthy of you? He's pursued you for so many years. Why do you still have this attitude? After saying that, she complained to the gentle-looking middle-aged couple, what do you think? Isn't Mary being too much? The gentle middle-aged woman looked at Mary with a smile in her eyes and said, it's the child's own business, we won't interfere. As soon as I heard it, I understood that the harsh middle-aged woman who answered my call back then was the same one. Her voice is something I will never forget in my life. Mary ignored Tom and the mean woman and instead greeted the gentle middle-aged couple. Mom and Dad, this is George, the one I told you about. This is George's sister, Lily, my good friend. I looked at Lily in surprise. Lily proudly lifted her head. I was very pleased and then greeted Mary's parents. Mary then introduced, this is my dad, John, and this is my mom, Jane. I politely nodded and said hello, uncle and aunt. After sitting down, before Tom could say anything, Mary directly confronted her a bit angrily, asking her mother, I heard you told George that Tom and I are engaged and that he shouldn't bother me. Is that true? Jane looked bewildered. Daughter, what nonsense are you talking about? When did I ever say that? Don't wrongfully accuse me. Your dad and I have never interfered in your matters. I quickly pulled Mary and whispered, it's not the aunt, it's the one across from us. I can recognize her voice. After saying that, I pointed to the mean woman sitting next to Tom. Mary was instantly furious. Mrs. Smith, are you the one who is trying to drive a wedge between my boyfriend and me? I've taken care of Tom enough over the years, helping him find a job and taking care of him when he was sick at your suggestion. How can you repay my kindness with such betrayal? Mrs. Smith also jumped up. He should have stayed away from you. As I said back then, you were originally meant for our Tom. You two were betrothed as children. Mary's parents quickly waved their hands. Mrs. Smith, you can't say that. We haven't agreed to it. The city center hospital is quite close to us. I made a very wise choice, didn't I? How could I bear to waste too much time on George, such a busy person? You see, I am so considerate, Lily said proudly. Tom looked at Mary with a pale face, then covered his head and said, Sister, please stop talking. My head hurts. I'm about to get sick again. Mary laughed angrily. You'd better die right now with so many people around. Don't think you can pin this on me. Mrs. Smith rushed over like a shrew, wanting to grab Mary. How can you say that about my precious son? Mary showed no weakness, grabbed the teapot, and smashed it on her head, then got on top of her and started hitting her. You tried to sow discord between me and George. You took my phone, my 5 years. How are you going to compensate me? The people present rushed to mediate, but only Lily, who wasn't afraid of trouble, cheered for Mary from the side. Sister-in-law, you're doing great. You should wipe out that whole bad family. How many 5-year spans does a woman's youth have? I pulled Lily over. You're pregnant. Can you calm down a bit? If something happens to you, your husband might kill me. After finally pulling everyone apart, Mary's parents comforted Mary while Tom's dad supported his wife and led the rolling Tom towards the door. Mary's family said nothing, just looked on coldly. Dinner was off, So Mary took her parents to rest while Lily and I waited at the hotel entrance. After Mary came out, I wanted to say something, but I felt embarrassed to speak. Lily, holding on to Mary, said to me, "Aren't you going to get in the car? What are you standing here for? You don't actually want to ask your sister-in-law for forgiveness, do you? No way. With your thick skin, you were so decisive when you dumped her back. Then you wouldn't be so shameless, now would you?" I'm completely speechless. This little sister is really a headache. I drove them home, and the two of them were whispering in the back seat. "Sister-in-law, how did your breasts get so big? Teach me. I'm worried my future kids won't have enough to eat." I was so embarrassed. "Lily, don't be ridiculous." But I forgot that Mary was also a very carefree girl, and she really started sharing her experiences with Lily right in front of me. Back home, Lily was still chatting excitedly with Mary, expressing how much she admired her and how impressive she was. I called Lily's husband to have him pick her up. Mary and I have a lot to talk about, and she's too much of a distraction here. After Lily left, I took out the medicine box, held Mary's hand, and applied the medicine for her. Watching Mary laugh and cry, I couldn't help but let my own tears flow. One night passed without a word, and the next morning, Lily woke me and Mary up early again. After she came in, she looked at Mary, who had just gotten out of bed, with a mischievous smile. Then she walked up to me and whispered, "George, how's it going?" I glanced at her and said, "What else can it be?" The sound of the waves remains the same. The separation that allows for a reunion is the second most romantic thing in the world. The most romantic is that after the reunion, we are still us.